Good morning, good day, good evening. My name is Jonathan Regan from Blockchain Education. I'm going to do a video about Coinigy. Coinigy is one of the first crypto-specific trading applications that allows you to visualize the data that's coming out of the Bitcoin and crypto exchanges and how to visualize that into a chart that you can apply technical analysis to. Now, Coinigy has extended their service. They've been around for quite a few years. Initially, Blockchain Education staff and members were using Coinigy for probably the first 2,000 calls and signals. Then we swapped over to TradingView because they have a more enhanced PineScript language that allows indicators. We'll talk about that in a TradingView video in the future. I just want to show you one of the biggest advantages Coinigy, and one of the things that I still recommend people sort of keep a Coinigy account around if you can afford it as a sort of a backup. But also, if you're new to crypto and you just want to sort of understand how things are moving and you're not really interested in using custom indicators and all that sort of stuff, then Coinigy really simplifies things. And in the next couple of minutes, I'm going to show you how easy it is to find coins that you can invest in that are essentially trending upwards against Bitcoin. Now, you don't have to make this incredibly complex. In fact, the most simple process you can do, of course, is join Blockchain Education, become a signals and a calls member. We'll tell you exactly what to buy and when, and we'll give you an unforgettable series of early entries that will help you make money. But if you insist on doing it yourself and you want to scan the markets, you can apply some of our trading methodology to any asset on any exchange, and this is how quickly you can do it. Oftentimes members will say to me, hey Jonathan, how do you find coins so quickly to call, and why do you seem to know what a coin's going to do? Now obviously a lot of that's due to the vast experience that I have and the other analysts have understanding these sort of markets and other markets. But I want to show you how easy it is really for anybody, including you, to simply understand what's happening in the markets. So let's jump into Coinigy. You can see that I've actually got Coinigy on my screen here. We're looking at the Bitcoin US dollar tether price at Binance. Obviously, as we've mentioned several times, we got a series of higher lows, which is sustained downtrend. We're going down here. Now, one thing I want you to notice, look what I'm doing here. I'm actually sort of drawing all sorts of stuff on the screen, and the refresh rate, the lag rate, or the speed at which I sort of click my button and the image sort of draws and all that sort of stuff is so much faster on Coinigy than on TradingView. In fact, I would sort of posit that Coinigy, just above and beyond TradingView, is just much faster at a lot of different things. Now, maybe that's because they've got a stripped down interface and maybe they took away some of the complexity to get that way. But I've got to say, if you've only got limited time in your day and you just want to rattle through a dozen or so cryptocurrencies just to keep an eye on things, it's nice having this smooth cryptocurrency interface provided by Coinigy. So as you can see, when I zoom in and I zoom out, look how quickly it's moving around. There's absolutely no data delay. I can go back in time over here. You can see how quickly it's refreshing and going back in time. Really, really nice if you want to get a good idea of what's going on here. Also, you can scale really quickly, and you can change between assets extremely quickly as well. So if I just change to Ethereum, let's try and do that again. Bang, next asset, there's Ethereum. And once again, we've got the speed. Look how quickly I can move in. You can change into a different time frame, and it really is just a really lovely interface. I've got to say, when we changed over to TradingView, this is the biggest feature that I miss: the fluidity, the speed, the access, and the ability just to consume trend information so very quickly by just snapping up a chart. And sometimes, if you get into a routine of doing this multiple times a day, you really start to appreciate the speed that which that's possible. Now, one thing I wanted to show you, let's go out to, let's say, a 1 hour chart. Now, a lot of traders use a 1 hour chart, and we can sort of scale this. And because I've sort of scaled this particular chart to this particular width and this particular height, I'm basically saying I'm interested from about here to about here, and I want a nice little gap here as well to help me kind of understand. So essentially, I'm using, what is it, like the better part of 4/5 of my real estate to look at the actual trend of this particular coin. Now, that's taking us on the 1 hour chart from basically here, which is the 2nd of the month, all the way to the 29th. So we're looking at pretty much 1 month. Now, if I consider the idea that if I'm an hourly trader, I really want to kind of know what's going on over the last month, but I don't really specifically know which cryptocurrencies, what they've done. I don't really particularly know which ones are moving in the right direction, so to speak. Now, it's easy to assume that because I do this as a full-time living and because I've done it for years and years and I've taught thousands of students, it's easy to assume that I've just got some sort of supernatural knowledge of cryptocurrency markets, but that's not necessarily true. I mean, the reality is there's probably thousands of cryptocurrency pairs, and like you guys, I need to obviously update my knowledge pretty much every time I talk about them. So just because I have a feeling that Ethereum's going to recover and go up a little bit, a couple of days from now, for example, if one of our members says, hey, what do you think of Ethereum? I'm going to have to go back to the chart and find out and reassess what's going on, because that's how quickly the markets move. So for me, it's not really about trying to guess or trying to have a sort of a memory knowledge bank of every single coin on the planet. It's more about, okay, how fast can I go back, assess the information, look at the chart, work out what the trends are, and forecast some sort of prediction. I mean, how quickly can I do that? And so one of the cool things about Coinigy is the fact that you can pretty much type in /BTC over here. Now what that's going to do is that's going to show you all of the Bitcoin pairs, and then you can choose which particular exchange that you want on the left. Now I'm just going to go with Binance, and I'm just going to click the very first one. In this case, it's ADA/Bitcoin. So I don't know particularly right now what ADA is doing at all. It has intermittent volume. Sometimes it's on the radar of traders, other times it's not. But I know that if I'm only investing, say, $300 American maximum into this coin, because of the fact that it's on Binance, there's most certainly enough liquidity and volume there for me to get in and out. All I need to do is assess whether or not ADA is actually worthwhile investing over the next, say, month. Now, the simple way to do that, and the easiest way, is to essentially use literally no indicators whatsoever and simply look at the chart. So once again, it's important to understand that the way that I've scaled this, I'm looking at the better part of a month. So if you have a look here, so I've scaled it, I'm looking at around about 27 days, extending this out to 30 days. So I'm using the hourly candle, I'm extending it out about 30 days, and I'm looking at just the general overall trend of ADA. And here we go, ready? Bang. This is ADA on Binance. Okay, there's my general trend. Now, once again, like I said, we're looking at approximately 1 month of activity. The question then becomes, is this the sort of thing that I would want to trade? Well, I'm kind of looking here, and you've got some down activity, up, down, then you got up, and now we're down, and we have this kind of jagged formation, and I don't know. To be honest, this sort of market just represents trouble. So I'm just going to immediately move on. For me, I can't really see a smooth sort of trend. So although I've taken a long time to explain all this, in reality, as I do this day to day, I'll move to the next coin with one mouse click. Watch this. So we come up here, the very next one is ADXBTC. So bang, hit ADXBTC. Once again, it looks turbulent, it looks choppy. I can't work out over the last month what the hell this coin's going to do. I mean, is it going up? Is it going? I don't know. Let's have a look. AE, let's have a look. Another confusing mess. AGI, once again. Algo, a recently added one. Now I know from this chart that I don't want to have anything to do with algo. I mean, truth is, we've got a series of lower highs, continuous. In fact, we've got some serious dumps here, and I can tell just sort of using geometry or using kind of like estimations or forecasting or predictions, I can just tell that this is a downtrend. I mean, I can see not only as a series of lower highs, but it's got a series of lower lows as well. So it just keeps on going down. And I didn't need any advanced technical indications or understandings of fundamentals or anything like that. If I'm thinking a month and ahead and I'm using hourly candles, all I need to do is assess the trend. And when I see something as simple as that, I'm thinking, you know what, I'm not going to go anywhere near that. And this then becomes a process of elimination. It's not so much what you're going to what you're going to trade, it's what you're not going to trade. And by eliminating a lot of these coins that are going to essentially cause you to lose money, you can start isolating and focusing on the coins that are uptrending. Now, I know a few coins off the top of my head that are uptrending, but we're just going to sort of stomp our way through the market on Binance by simply, once again, clicking on the next one, AMB. Okay, got a bit of a recovery here. Still confused as to what direction that might be going. Not interested in that one. Not interested in that one. Okay, now what do we have here? ARDR. Now, why did I pause here? I see a series of higher lows. This is quite interesting. Now, I must admit that just in the last, maybe the last like few days, we've had something of a sideways consolidation period. You can see that there's a lot of activity going on here. But I must admit that this does kind of start looking a little bit more promising. If I throw in a trend channel, let's kind of just generally give ourselves a sort of a trend channel here, and I'm going to kind of stretch this one up here. I might be starting to see a bit of a trend. Okay, let's have a look. Got our methodology happening. We might have this sort of action going. So I guess what I'm trying to suggest here is that when you're looking at that sort of that 1 month period on the hourly candle, you want to try and make it as easy as possible for yourself to identify the trend. And the way to do that and the way to analyze as many coins as possible is just to do what we're doing here. So let's go again. No, it looks complex. Was in a trend but broke. Was in a trend but broke. Atom, I don't know what that is. That's difficult. This is difficult. That's kind of difficult as well. This is definitely not something we want to have a look at. Likewise, I don't know, this kind of could be something I'd look at. Beam, let's have a look at BNB, the big Binance coin, pretty much a downtrend there. BNT, let's scroll down to a couple that I've been checking out recently that kind of look good. CMT, Syndicator, I remember being, yeah, okay, Syndicator. This is Syndicator on Binance, BTC. You can tell that we have a series of higher lows. This, although we had a big Fibonacci retrace back into this area, we are starting to see higher lows. Now, a lot's been going on because of that Bitcoin dump. We see this sort of movement a lot where coins decline a lot, and that's simply because altcoin sellers will immediately sell back into Bitcoin, and they'll sell immediately out of Bitcoin back into US dollar tether. So oftentimes when we see a massive dump in Bitcoin, we see a sort of a movement like this in a lot of altcoins. That doesn't really mean that this trend, which to be honest has lasted, let's have a look, it's lasted 23 days of higher highs and higher lows. Does that mean the trend is over? Well, I don't know. This might be on my radar. Maybe I just isolate this and decide. The thing I want to kind of point out is that this is a nice fast way to move through coins. So let's continue. Excuse me. Nope. Okay, interesting. Maybe, I don't know. Decred. Let's have a look. No, definitely not. Confusing. DGD, kind of all over the place. DLT. Okay, series of higher lows there. DOC, one of these ones. Oh, this is definitely something on our radar. Obviously, as part of the blockchain education community, we've called this probably 30 times in the last month. Making lots of little gains on the way, but you can see that there is a particular trend here, and other than the fact that we have this explosive move out of the channel, this is definitely somewhere you want to be taking profit. I wouldn't be surprised if we see this sort of move where we get up here, we come down here, we go up here. I wouldn't be surprised if we come back down, but if I was too late to the party, I'd be thinking about maybe putting in some sort of buy zone around here. Buy zone being the bottom of the channel. Let's have a look. Bottom of the channel, this uptrend channel, but more importantly, if we extend through here, we actually see that there's actually a lot of activity in this area. It's kind of a support and resistance zone, and actually lines up over here as well. So we can sort of extend that over there. And this would be where I'd be interested in buying. So I might perhaps wait for the price to come back down into this area, and I wait for that trend, and then I would expect that this month-long trend continues. So once again, not using complex indicators, all I'm looking for is direction. Dogecoin, Dusk, definitely a downtrend here. ELF, I know ELF is, let's go into ELF. ELF is popping recently, not exactly the sort of thing that you can really predict all that well. EOS, ERD I know has been doing okay recently. Ethereum had a recovery, seems to have made a bit of a dump, but maybe it's recovering again. Keep my eye on that. Let's look at some of the other ones. Fuel's been doing pretty well. Fund seems to be doing pretty well recently as well. I know IOTA is doing extremely good. You can see, obviously, these are, it's pretty easy to see which ones you should be investing in and which ones you shouldn't. I think Link's had a pretty good 2 to 3 weeks. Loom, obviously, another explosive one. Now, I'm not necessarily suggesting that, having looked at this, that you could have predicted what happened here. You're better off leaving that for professionals and algorithms that are essentially scanning this on the 1-minute basis. Our guys in blockchain education made a fortune out of Loom because we got multiple entry signals here and we've been calling it all the way up. So that is obviously one of the advantages of being in an automated, professionally led community. But when you've got to, keep your money down, and when you want to do it yourself, you just want to start looking for trends like this. LRC, Loopring, I think, Liz, Litecoin, what's that doing? Confusing. Lun, I think Mana's been doing pretty well from memory. Yep, higher highs. MCO, MDA, obviously extremely good. Nice little pump out there. Once again, more sort of orientated around algorithmic analysis here. In other words, I wouldn't expect the majority of day traders to imagine that there was a breakout about to happen right about here. Our algorithms are basically sitting there just sort of watching this every single minute, and then as soon as we see explosive movement using a whole bunch of different indicators, we're calling entries. And our entry prices, traditionally, they're right down here. So our algorithms calling it multiple times, analysts are all involved when we get in there. So in a situation like this, the algorithms and professional analysts are going to be able to help you. But a coin like this, normally I wouldn't consider a trending coin. I mean, in actual fact, it was more like an explosive pump and dump thing with a bit of ranging sideways market, and now it almost looks like it's doing another pump and dump thing. So this is the sort of thing that I would avoid normally. Myth, I think, has been doing pretty well. I know Metal's been doing pretty great. Nice little recovery here, breaking out. Our algorithms are starting to pick this up. Nav, Nebel, Neo. What's Neo doing? Kind of all confused as well. OMG, ONT, Pearl. I think Pearl's been doing okay. Actually, no, it hasn't. We can tell. And that's just the power, I think, had a recent recovery, starting to look a little bit lively over there. QKC and I think it's QLC. Yeah, QLC starting to look quite interesting. Quantum had a little bit of activity. I know RCN has done really, really well. And once again, this is the sort of system where even if you don't have a algorithm, even if you don't have sort of professional analysts on your side, even if you're not a member of the community, this is the sort of thing you really want to be looking for. We have an explosive movement here with lots of volume and a series of higher lows, just a continuation of higher lows, and this really looks really nice. And we've called it multiple times. I believe it went 340% since we called it. We called it in the flat area. Let's try that again. Called it somewhere down here, and it's run as high as 360% in the last 2 weeks. We've called it multiple times, and when I say we call, that means the analysts and the signals from the algorithms have been generated, automatically flowed into our system multiple times. A whole bunch of other calls here. RLC, I think, has been doing interesting things. I know singles, I just recently discussed Sky. Sky's starting to look really good to me. Certainly something. Sonum, just unbelievable explosive move, and perhaps this uptrend continues to push up. We had a little bit of activity in Storm recently. I know that T-Fuel's been doing really well. TNT, obviously another killer. Not really something that you need complex algorithms or analysts to help you with, but it's always nice to have that early entry. When we're finding their entries down here, most of the market is kind of getting in well and truly halfway through the uptrend. Tomo has been doing some interesting things, and I believe ZRX has also done really interesting things. So I've just been talking really quickly here, and you can see how quickly I'm just clicking these buttons and stuff. And so when someone says, well, how do you know what ZRX is doing? Could you give me an analysis on ZRX or something? I just click here, as you saw, and within less than 2 seconds, I've got myself a 1 month view here, and I can see a series of sort of sustained higher lows and a series of sustained higher highs, and I'm thinking to myself, well, you know what, this kind of looks like it's in an uptrend. I can go and grab my Fibonacci chart and come out of the bottom of this zone here, kind of have a look around. I can play with this until I find something that kind of, to me, feels like, yeah, you know what, I think this is okay. So I have some activity here, I have a bit of confirmation here, a top here, a couple. We've come in here, we've bounced again here, we've come down here, we're sort of sitting here. We went here and then that became a resistance zone. So I might imagine that we're going up here. Would we be going to the 3,000 psychological level? Always want to look for those, obviously part of our methodology, to consider the mind of the trader. Are the traders pushing towards that 3,000 zone right now? It looks to me like they are. Fibonacci would suggest that there's still a bit of headroom there. Now I am using a indicator here, the Fibonacci indicator, and obviously the more indicators that you stack on the chart, the easier it becomes to understand the markets. You don't have to do things as quickly as what I'm doing here. You don't have to do it alone. You can join our team. You can let the algorithms do all the difficult work. You can learn our trading methodology, and basically you can outsmart 80 to 90% of all the other traders out there simply by avoiding 80 to 90% of all of the coins that they're trading. Think about that for a second. If I said to you there's 400 or 500 pairs on Binance that you can play around with, but only 20 are worth your attention, the question then becomes, well, how the hell do you find those 20? So you can join us or you can do it yourself. I've given you the process to do it yourself. A bit time consuming. Obviously you're going to have to continue to do it over and over and over again as the market changes. But I hope that really helps. I hope you avoid some of these downtrending coins. And I hope with this kind of scanning process that it enables you to make more money trading crypto. I'll talk to you soon. My name is Jonathan Regan. You can find hundreds of videos like this in the training system, and I will continue to make them and answer your questions along with the other professional analysts. Running a discount coupon right now. You can see it in the description field. If you're not interested in joining, or if you're in a sort of a good mood, and if I've made you a little bit enthusiastic, then I would love you to like, subscribe, or share or comment. That would be fantastic. You know, all those sort of things that help us grow this community. And I really want to give back and help people make money and avoid getting into coins that are simply downtrending. All right, I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.